going on, guys? It's K-Dub here with another episode of Crypto Zombie. Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're having a great day today. Now, today's video is coming out a little bit earlier than usual because, as you can see, Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies are starting to go back into the red again today. Now, why is this? Well, it is exactly what we warned about yesterday. We got the CPI reports. They came in this morning. There were rumors that it was going to be worse than people had expected, and as of today, you can see right here, we have 8.6%, which, yes, my friends, does mean that this is the highest inflation that we've seen in 40 years. And subsequently, we come over here and the stock market is dumping because investors are reacting to the news. They are trying to get out of these riskier assets because if the Fed does continue to raise rates, then it potentially means that things could get worse, right? So this is what we didn't want to happen. However, inevitably, it did happen. So in today's video, I want to discuss this, but what I also want to talk about is the fact that we finally got the signal. We were looking at this minor capitulation right here, and you can see that's these gray dots right here, and currently we are having the gray dot, and if I zoom in, you can see that we did in fact have the lines cross. Now, this may not be 100% confirmed. We do have to see what happens by the end of the day, but according to this chart right here, which is the full history of Bitcoin, this is the index chart, extremely comprehensive data. So let's have a look. Let's see what's going on. How much longer could it be? And is the bottom in or close based on the data? So that's what we're going to talk about today super quick. If this is the type of content that you like to see on this channel, nice and short and quick, drop a comment below and definitely get subscribed because we have a lot of things to go over and we are going to be monitoring the situation quite closely. So having a look right here, before we get into this, let's just see what's going on in the chart. So really, as far as the technicals are concerned, we are still being held down by the heart line of the falling wedge. You can see we have had multiple resistances right here. If we were in fact to fall down to the lower level of this today, that would be around $27,600. Now, I don't know if Bitcoin's going to fall that fast today, but that is a possibility if we do continue on the downtrend. Now, on the flip side, getting above this sort of $31,800 area could actually have Bitcoin come up around here to 39,000. However, having a look at what stocks are currently doing right now, could today turn out to just be a fake out? I have seen where we come all the way down here and then we end up closing the day positive anyway, right? We've seen a lot of funny business happen on these news days, these CPI report days, right? But just getting back to the Bitcoin chart right here, unfortunately, unless this is a fake out wick to the downside, then you are noticing that we are losing this uptrend that we've had ever since we had this capitulation, if you want to call it, back around May 12th, right? So currently, guys, the level that we're looking for support for Bitcoin is $28,885, and that's this area right here. But keep in mind, in the past, we haven't exactly respected it perfectly. We've kind of wicked around the area. But the reason that this level is so important is because if we come way back here, this was the level of support on January 21st, January 27th, as well as this bottom that we had on June 22nd of last year, right? So that is something that we do need to pay attention to. And yeah, that is a very strong possibility that if we can't maintain this upward sloping trend, if we can't close today's daily candle above 29,600, then yes, 28,800 is our level. And we do need to hold that level because if not, then Bitcoin does risk falling back into this blue zone territory, which would mean that no, the lows are in fact not in. But currently right here, that would mean, if we fell below this area around 26,100 on this upward sloping trend, then ultimately that would lose this trend that we've had since February of 2010. This upward sloping trend you can see right here, which, by the way, if we actually look, we actually touched perfectly. You could see perfectly we touched right here. So we have already visited this and we do have 3 points of contact, which does make it a confirmed trend. But the biggest question right now is, with this inflation running wild, will we be able to maintain this upward sloping trend? Now, before we get to the other indicator right now, the most important indicator, I do want to just point out that you could say, well, if we take it out of log, right, something like this, then we could say that, okay, technically the trend is still intact because you'd have this right here and you'd have this right here, showing that we had this resistance flip support and then resistance again. So the trend still technically does hold, so that would still put us around $26,000 possibly. But there are some people that say, oh, well, maybe you should switch it to the regular chart and come down and actually touch this right here. So, okay, fine. If you really want to nitpick, which I don't think this is the case, but if you really want to bring this down to actually touch the tops of these wicks right here, then technically, no, we do have some more downside to go. Bitcoin could potentially fall another 26% to 21,600, but keep in mind that if we did fall to that level, we would actually be falling below the 200 weekly moving average, okay? So ultimately, I don't think that that's the case. I think I'm going to stick with the log trend because this makes a lot more sense. And it also does work as the resistance here. So really, either way you draw this line on logarithmic or regular chart, linear, it still works, okay? Which is why I think that ultimately we could have put in the bottom. Now, the reason that we may have not put in the bottom is simply because of what's going on right now, right? Maybe Bitcoin does need to touch the 200 weekly. Maybe it does need to put in that giant double bottom pattern. But we are seeing right here, for the very first time since April of last year, we are getting the capitulation of the miners. So having a look in the past right here, now we can go back to the data, of 2011, 2012, 2013. Bitcoin was a lot crazier back then. It was a very, very wild, wild west of trading, and no one was really paying attention to it. And most of the people using Bitcoin were probably just using it for illicit activities. So, if we kind of get into 2015 right here, which is really after you started seeing that retail speculation coming in, when people started just buying Bitcoin because they just, wanted to speculate on the price, I think that's where we can actually look at this data a little more realistically. And if we do take all of the times that we get the capitulation, so right here, December of 2014, until we get the buy signal is about 49 days. The next time that we got it right here and got the second confirmed buy was about 49 days. Wow, I wasn't expecting that to be exact. If we fast forward here, okay, to July of 2016, that was about 35 days. So we're noticing that most of these are within about a month to maybe a month and a half, right? But this was older data, from back in 2016. Let's go to 2017, after we had the big retail surge, when everyone started talking about Bitcoin, when it became a household, item that people were discussing, okay? So right here, we obviously had this capitulation, and I'm trying to look at this to understand how close are we to the bottom and how long do we have to potentially wait to see that reversal after the capitulation. Well, right here, we got it in October of 2018, and that was about 70 days, okay? So that was a little over 2 months. Right here, if we have a look, we have this at about 35 days. So we're noticing a pattern. It kind of seems to be 1 to 2 months, right? Depending. Back here again, I'm not going to keep saying the dates, 35%. The next time that we have it, not 35%, 35 days, 49 days. Are you guys getting an idea here of what I'm trying to mention? 35 days. That's really weird that it was exactly 35 days again. Let's see right here. Now this one was a little different that we just had recently. So from the capitulation to here, that was actually 98 days. So that was just over 3 months, right? So let's try to take the average of this. Why don't we just say that, it seems like it's obviously getting a little bit longer as we do continue to have Bitcoin, obviously we're having institutions come in and stuff like that. So if you do believe that, and we're not going to go into the whole lengthening cycle theory, but we just believe that the markets are going to, react a little bit slower. They're going to be more like traditional assets, not as volatile. Well, then we can say ultimately that if we were to get that buy signal 2.5 months out here, right? Saying somewhere around, maybe let's say like 80 days or 85 days or something, that potentially says that we could be having that bottom sometime between August or September. And remember, I had told you that by November, there was a chance that Bitcoin could be back to the levels that we lost the 600 daily, which was around, I think at this point, it's like $41,800, right? It is continuing to rise. I do have it actually pulled up here somewhere. Oh yeah, here it is exactly, right here. So $41,558 right here, right? So if we were to, and let's just assume, well, not assume, I mean, it's going to come up, right? But I don't know specifically how it's going to come up, but we know we're going to have some type of an upward sloping trend like this from the 200 weekly. So, maybe we do have this thing come down here, freak everyone out. Maybe that is the ultimate low somewhere around, we could come down to 23,000 or 24,000, something like that, and then continue to put on that uptrend. And potentially by the end of the year, we could be right back up here, and this would present the generational buying opportunity essentially for Bitcoin. Because if we go back to these charts, we notice that by the time you actually get the buy, Bitcoin has usually pumped at that point, right? It's more of a confirmation saying, okay, we have capitulated and now we have officially recovered. So in all of these instances that we just went over, we're looking somewhere between, 30 to 90 days. So let's just say 1 to 3 months. So let's just say worst case scenario, let's say it lengthens out even more. Well, that would mean ultimately that, we may have 3 more months of sideways downwards action for Bitcoin before actually putting in that generational opportunity. And it could even bottom out sooner, because in most situations here, you actually find that we get this green dot, which actually shows that we're flipping into the buy, but we haven't officially gone into the buy. So you could see that signal, for example, came at $8,900 in June, and then we didn't get the buy signal until it was closer to almost $10,000, right? Same thing here. The green was right here at around 17, and then the buy was around 19,000. This is a little bit different because we actually had this green signal telling us to buy at around 35, but then we didn't actually get the ultimate buy signal until 44, but we went all the way down to 29. Nevertheless, within this actual time period right here, okay, within this time period from when we got that signal to when we got this buy right here, this was the opportunity. So essentially what I'm trying to tell you guys is that within the next month to 3.5 months, that will be the generational opportunity for buying Bitcoin based on previous data, and that could be the opportunity of a lifetime. So no, to answer the question, the bottom may not be in, but I do believe that the bottom will be in within the next 3 months, and that does provide a strong opportunity for accumulation, dollar cost averaging, and by October of this year, actually more, I would say more November of this year, December, we could potentially be trading back above $40,000. And I still stand on the possibility that we could have a $55,000 Bitcoin by the end of this year, essentially by January 1st of next year. I do think that that is still a possibility. So that's essentially what we're talking about today. And by the way, the Bitfinex longs, they're still holding strong. They still think we're going to the moon. So that's it for me today, guys. If you like short videos like today, drop a comment below. Slap a like on the video. YouTube hates short videos, so it does help to push that content out to anyone else. So that is it for me. Thank you for coming back to the channel. You guys rock. Be safe. We're going into the weekend. Weekend price action can get absolutely mad. Be careful if you're trying to trade this, but if you are learning to trade, you want to learn how to trade, check these videos popping up right here, right now. Until next time, stay crypto, and of course, peace out.